Alright, so at this point, I'm sure if you watch commentary, if you're involved in the space at all, you've seen iDubbbz's new video. iDubbbz, is it how you say it? Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. Anyway, I didn't like it. A lot of people didn't like it. It's not a good video. Just pure, plain and simple. Now, a lot of people have been conflating this as iDubbbz versus Sam Hyde issue, which it isn't quite that, but I can understand why you would do that. But a lot of people are overshadowing the people who are bringing up a valid criticism of being like, hey, Froggy got screwed over, like, no matter what. And Ian spends most of the video condemning Froggy for saying negative things about him after he got kicked off the card. And he spends the rest of the video acting like this is, you know, this major win, right? Like he owned him, you know, like Froggy Fresh Owned compilation is basically what that video is meant to be. And it is just not that. I'm going to play some of this video and we're going to talk about it. So let's start off with why Froggy got kicked off the card to begin with.
The main reason Froggy was kicked from the card was for collaborating with Sam Hyde. And, you know, for anyone who's been following the story, that's, you know, fairly obvious. Froggy has explained, you know, his side of the story multiple times. And unfortunately, he's been perpetuating a narrative that it's about OnlyFans or that it's about Anissa's mom. And that's extremely deceptive because he knows why he was kicked from the card. The one indication I gave him was Sam Hyde, and I wasn't unclear about that. Anyone who's mentioning the fact that Harley trained with Sam Hyde for the year previous, that was before Sam was saying this about my wife.
I don't think so, Anissa. Bitch. Ho. Fucking Anissa. What an ugly piece of shit. But look how beat she is. Oh, nice jack-o'-lantern teeth.
That's like
I can't wait to see what she looks like when she's 32. Her teeth look like a pumpkin head. Like it's the Anissa Joma hole stretcher. I'm sending this to Anissa's OnlyFans. It goes directly into charity.
Yeah. Everybody hates him and his wife's a slut.
So yeah, now that this guy is on the daily insulting my wife, I think it's pretty fair to, you know, not want to associate with him.
So, a couple problems, obviously. If you didn't want to associate him because of the jokes, what about before when he wasn't making those jokes? What about Creator Clash 1 where you took almost $10,000 worth of ringside seats away from him? What about that? That's ridiculous for you to cut somebody out of the card. And, you know, later on he says that he's not going to sue over the $15K, which, good. You know, that would have been absolute career suicide for him. It would have been completely over, even more over than it is as of right now, because it is pretty much over for iDubbbz. He's never going to make good content again. He's never going to reach that level that he had back in like 2017, 2018. And I'm not acting like him saying slurs was like the peak of comedy and was the greatest thing ever. That's not what made it so good. It was his ability to present things in a very digestible, very fun way. Comparing this video to the Rice Gum content comp, where, you know, he doesn't use slurs, he doesn't justify the use of slurs for any one of those people who, you know, what I'm talking about when I say those people, who would come here and be like, oh, well, you only like it because it has slurs. I'm using an example that doesn't use slurs, so you can get off my back. Anyway, onto the actual important stuff. When you compare this video and, you know, the Asian Jake Paul video, there's a big difference. The way the two things are set up is just so different. There's just so much more richness in the Rice Gum content comparatively to this video. And part of it is the fact that it's just cutting between his face and the space with a little waveform over the top that he put in After Effects. That, you know, doesn't really lend itself to really engaging editing. But if you're really captivating or you're telling an engaging narrative, you can overcome that. He's not doing that. This video was boring. It was boring. And I guess you could say that this type of content might be boring too, but I think it's different. at least. And when you set the content standard that he set, and you're doing stuff like this where it's just bad and it's poorly planned out, it just doesn't feel right. You're just sitting there like, wow, I feel cheated out of my time. But anyway, I do want to talk about iDubbbz bringing up the Misfit card, because he makes a really dumb point, and I just want to knock it out of the water because it's so stupid.
Gift to you that we'd kick you off the card. You have no more obligations, and you can immediately just pivot into boxing for misfits. It's like, that's the culture that you want. You want the non-sissy, you want the macho dude traditional boxing culture, so go over there and box for them. You don't even have to miss that many months of training. You've been training. So hop on one of those cards. But unfortunately, Froggy doesn't want to hop on one of those cards because he thinks the skill level is too high.
Personally, in my opinion, I think the talent at Misfits and Happy Punch is in a different league that is out of my league.
Footwork is amazing.
Be out the sand lot and I'm plotting on the globe. I work hard, I show love, that common steady grind.
And then right here, he's down. You stop. I mean, come on. It turns quickly from boxing to assault.
So he tries to meme on the fact that there's like a meme fight going on, and the fact that there's a guy who looks stupid, you know, on the card. And I find it ridiculous because he disproved his own point in showing those two clips at the end back to back, because he shows a guy who went from not being able to throw a punch to being able to knock somebody out. Now, obviously, he, you know, does beat him into the ground, but still, like, he clearly improved. Like, I don't know, what's your point here? You're trying to claim that, oh, because he hit him while he was down, he's a buffoon? Yeah, but he clearly is better. You're showing the talent level of Misfits. Obviously, these guys are going to be better. Like, their main focus is this, and obviously the Creator Clash fighters are focusing on that, but I think it's a little bit more of a drive thing for the Misfit guys. They look a little bit more committed when they go in there. I think Creator Clash sort of has this feeling of, hey, we're all friends, we're going to go in and we're going to box each other and we're going to have fun. And that's great. That's awesome. I'm not knocking that. But I'm saying that certain people in Misfits just look a lot more hungry than the Creator Clash fighters. That's just the way it is. Now, I don't know if Ian really thought this clip out before or those two clips, I should say. He thought those two clips out before he included them. Because, I mean, even just looking at them, first viewing, I was like, what? Like, why would you even... First of all, it's a meme fight. Like, it's clearly a meme fight. Do you think that all of the fighters are at the Wings of Redemption and Boogie 2988 skill level? Don't you think that it would literally implode after like a fight or two if something like that were to occur? Like, this is what I'm talking about. This isn't good content. Alright, it's just not. It's stupid, and I don't know what he was thinking. Alright, let's continue.
I think they give away like OnlyFans girls there at these events. I don't know what kind of sponsorships going on. Like, if you win certain fights, I think you get to own some of these girls for some of the nights.
Awesome.
I don't know how it works, but I think Chris was like he had plans to go beat up a nerd and however they get to like lease one of these girls. And so like he got there. Well, Ian was probably thinking like, because I think man, I need to just stop all this probably.
No, Froggy, keep going. I think you should keep going. I think the women of the world need to hear your opinions on these things. Talk more about how sex workers are property.
I'm really interested in how you can glean that he thinks sex workers are property out of all of this. Like, out of what he just said, how can you glean that he thinks sex workers are property? He's saying that they're being used as property. He doesn't... Why would you... Like, that's the least generous way that you can interpret what he said. And obviously that's on purpose, right? And a thing that I bring up every now and then on here is framing. He's trying to frame this as, oh, Froggy he views all sex workers as property, he disregards them, and he thinks that, oh, we give him out as property. In fact, he doesn't even regard that, but I just wanted to throw it in. That's not what he's saying, alright? He's trying to get the point across that, you know, this whole event is just a cesspit. And maybe that's not the best way to get it across, but that's the way that he chose to do it. You can have a problem with how he chose to do it, but him deciding to joke about it in that way, I don't know that taking an issue with that is the best way to go. I could be wrong. Hey, who knows? Alright, let's get into our last 2 clips.
I don't think Froggy respects sex workers. I think he has some really old, tired opinions about people who do sex work. I think he has a lot of weird opinions as well about masculinity and shit.
So, what is the right opinion to have about someone who does sex work, Ian? Like, let's just be real, right? Because most of my viewers are adults, and this is just being honest, right? Most sex work ends up being done through coercion. A lot of the times, the girls are underage. Sometimes they have nowhere else to go. They're being forced into this because, you know, that's the only way they'll put food on their table. Alright, sex work is not a overall good field to be in, okay? So for him to not have a very favorable view towards it isn't that out there. You know what I mean? Like, he's not saying anything too revolutionary when he goes like, hey, I don't think it's the best, because it's just not. Objectively, it is not a good field, alright? Countless men, women, everyone has said, like, well, I wouldn't say everyone, but a lot of the people who have worked in that industry have came out worse for wear, okay? Most of the biggest stars in that industry have came out and talked about how bad it is. Lana Rhoades, Mia Khalifa, Mia Malkova. These 3 are names that I'm pretty sure you at least know 1 or 2 from, like, memes at the very least. But they have came out and been like, hey, the industry is bad. The industry really hurts people. It's exploitive. So for you to just turn around and be like, oh, well, I don't think he respects people doing sex work. It's like, it shouldn't even be unless you're like Anissa and you can just do it because you want to do it, then I have no problem with it. Personally, I'm not, down with it, but I never tell someone that they shouldn't unless they were like a child or just out of high school. You know what I mean? Like, that's a different circumstance. Alright, last clip.
iDubbbz, I saw your video. You put my face on SpongeBob SquarePants. You said I was a meanie. You said I don't respect sex workers. I'm going to tell you something. Have you ever seen Ricky Martin in Living La Vida Loca? Have you ever seen that man move? That man is a sex worker. And I respect that man. So you explain that. iDubbbz, I saw your video.
So, I wonder what Ian would have to say to that. I mean, you claim that he has no respect for sex workers, and then he says, well, actually I do, in his own roundabout way. But, I mean, he just, indubitably, which is a word that I just had come to my mind, and I will probably never use again, but he for sure said, like, hey, I respect them, which, yeah, you can respect these people and still say that the industry is bad. Nobody, not even you, iDubbbz, would say that the industry is, like, good, or it fosters, like, a safe space for women. It doesn't, alright? And I'm assuming that you're pivoting towards the H3H3 type of thing where you act as though, all of your thoughts are towards women, mainly because you'll have more woman-led audience, or I would say more woman-centric audience, even though Ethan Klein surprisingly has like a 50-50 audience, which is impressive. I will say, you know, props to him. But let's just be real. The industry is bad, and that's the main point I've been trying to nail home. So for him to be like, yeah, for him to make jokes about it, that shouldn't be your main focus. Your main focus should have been being like, hey, these are my terms. I don't like, you know, how he came out and said something about my wife. If you don't like that, then don't box on my card. I would have preferred that. You know, I would be like, hey, that's a little dumb. You know, he didn't even really make any jokes about your wife, and all he did was hang out with somebody who has, because you tried to screw him over and ruin his life. But hey, I guess you can draw the line at making jokes about your wife. That's a no. You can't do that. But I'm gonna end it off here before this video gets too long. Make sure to go check out my second channel if you want some video essay content. I was gonna say some long form content, but this is like the longest video I've done in a while. Anyway, see you guys later. Goodbye.